Thank you for joining us on today's webinar, Going Through Financial Clarity in Times of Stress. COVID-19 has been hitting Canadians hard financially, with many unsure on how to make ends meet as days pass by. Incomes have been abruptly reduced or eliminated as doors shutter on businesses for an indeterminate amount of time. While we realize this is something that is unprecedented and we haven't had to manage through before, we're here today to hopefully provide you some resources that you can adapt to your newfound way of life. Hopefully, at the end of this webinar, you'll feel a little bit more confident in how you can manage your budgeting needs throughout this pandemic that we are experiencing, and know that Tandia is here to help and support you in any way that we are able to. We really do pride ourselves on trying to make sure that your unique needs are met, and we understand that everyone's situation is different, and we know that your financial situation may differ from the next. So hopefully we will be able to answer those questions and provide you any sort of feedback and support in any way that we are able to. We will continue to offer our best advice to help you navigate through the uncertainties. We have a range of services and options to help you plan for the road ahead. We encourage you to speak to your financial institution or speak to one of our member solutions advisors at one of our local branches to help you navigate through these uncertainties. Let's talk about dealing with the impact. You may be worried about the impact of the current COVID-19 pandemic on your finances. Whatever the cause, financial emergencies can always be stressful and cause considerable hardships for you and your family. It's called an emergency. We don't plan them. It's something that comes unexpected, and it's important to kind of sit back and understand how we can possibly deal with it in the best way possible. It may not always be immediately noticeable that you're heading towards some sort of financial hardship, so it's important to pay attention and reevaluate your finances prior to heading down that path. Some things that we can consider when we're looking at our financial picture is, what is our long-term assessments? We need to consider what will be the impact if we continue to stay on this path. Not only do we have to think of what our future financial picture will look like, but we need to also consider current adjustments that we can make now. So if we have a loss of income, if there is something that you can adjust, perhaps a mortgage deferral, perhaps a reduced amount on your insurance programs, calling your utility bills, calling your current credit card providers, will all help to provide you current adjustments during this pandemic. What's important to do is that we need to also think of the future impacts that these are going to cause on our long-term financial goals and plans. I know a major component to our financial picture is your emotional state. We want to make sure that you're not online shopping too much, or making sure that you have an idea of what your financial picture is and trying to figure out the best way possible so you're not feeling emotional about it and stressing over it. I know that seems easier said than done sometimes, but it's important to look at the picture before and seek advice and talk to somebody prior to going down the rabbit hole and kind of burying your head in the sand. There are multiple options, which we will go through today, to kind of ease that emotional state and emotional stress that you may have during this unprecedented time. Now, the next portion that we're going to discuss is talking about building a foundation of good financial habits. Not only is this a great tool to use on a regular basis, but could be more important at this point in time now, while we find ourselves in a more financially stressful situation, or just a stressful situation all around. It's important to understand your financial picture. You need to tell your money where to go and what to do. It's important because it all helps to reduce your total stress about money. When you have a clear picture of what your money is actually going to do, then you have a better understanding of how you can adjust some things to create more cash flow, or adjust some things to create additional payments towards some debt that you may be carrying. Developing positive financial habits is not necessarily just making sure that you're paying your bills on time. It's understanding that you need to look at your bills, readjust them. Is there ways that you can reduce what you're paying out per month? Is there extra income you could be applying for at this time? Is there some stuff that you're actually saving on? You're not driving as much, you're not maybe eating out as much. How can you reallocate those funds to help provide some support during this time? With that said, it's important to keep your finances organized, making sure you know where your statements are, where to find your statements, how can you review things if you don't have an understanding of where everything is going. So again, I stress, you need to tell your money where to go and what to do. It's important to still set and prioritize financial goals. I'm sure a lot of you have also realized too, but everybody is under like home renovations at this point, myself included. So set yourself some goals that you would like to attain while you're kind of making the best of your time, but making sure that it fits within your financial picture. Plan a project and allocate the income and expenses that it will cost to complete this project in advance to actually kind of making that purchase. I know it sometimes seems way easier to kind of click that add to cart and check out than it is when you're in an actual store. All of these points will help to ease your emotional state, provide you some financial clarity, and as well make sure that you are kind of keeping your finances on track. There are things that have adjusted that you will be saving on. I know myself and my family, we haven't paid for a full tank of gas in probably 6 weeks, which is crazy to me, where we were paying a ridiculous amount every week. My husband commutes to Mississauga. So with that extra savings, what can we do with that? And how can we reallocate that to make the best of our financial picture? Those are the things that you need to be thinking of. And sometimes it helps to write them all down so you have that better understanding. It's important to kind of stop and sit back, just the same as we would in our regular lives, on reevaluating what are our priorities. That goes back to setting yourself some financial goals, setting aside some projects, and making sure that you really have an understanding and you're not just kind of influenced by, the multiple emails that you're getting saying you're going to save on shipping, etc. So understanding the difference between the needs and wants, and sometimes it helps to write yourself a comparison. Food is obviously an essential. I know we've been spending a lot more on food than we probably normally do at a regular grocery shop because we try to stock up every time we go, so we don't go often. But it's understanding what are things that maybe are you buying extra of that you could reduce and make sure that you are staying within your allotted budgets for. We discussed the concept of looking at your long-term assessments. So some ways that you can look at your whole financial picture so you can see kind of what's coming up on the horizon and have an understanding of what your whole picture looks like is calculating your net worth. So that's very important to your financial health. What you want to do is create a list of all your assets. So what your assets will be is, the value of your home, the value of your car, perhaps you have a boat, the value of a boat, a cottage, any sort of investments that you have. And you're going to tally them all up into one final number on one column. Then on the reverse side, you're going to attach any liabilities that you may have to these assets. So as an example, you have the value of your home. Do you have a mortgage? What is your mortgage balance? Do you have a vehicle? The value of your vehicle. And then again, what is the value of the total loans against it? You will add up any credit cards, any car loans, any lines of credit, anything that you have as a liability. In this equation, we do not include your utilities that you're paying on a monthly basis. That is in your cash flow, which we will discuss next. You're going to take these two categories now, your assets and your liabilities, tally the two numbers in the columns, and then minus it. So you will either have a positive number or a negative number. And that will give you an indication of kind of what your liabilities do you have out there and what are your asset values are at the current time. Is there something that you could adjust? Is there perhaps an advisor you can contact to kind of check on what your investment status is? And if you are having trouble making your liability payments, such as a loan or line of credit, perhaps even a mortgage, know that there are options that have been implemented within the financial industry that you can access and have a little bit more reprieve if you need to. As you can see, I have inserted a little chart that will help you navigate through how to list your financial net worth statement. If this is something that you would love access to, please feel free to reach out to us after the workshop and we can provide you with a hard copy that you can use to fill out as a template. Next, we're going to discuss your cash flow. So this is a little bit different than your net worth statement. This will give you an idea of exactly what you have coming in per month and what exactly you have coming out. So this is where we list all income that you have coming in. So whether you are receiving some income from the government currently, your payrolls, a spouse's payroll, perhaps you have child benefits that are coming in, all get included in your monthly income. Then on the flip side, you have your expenses. So that is where you list all expenses. So this is where I'm talking about listing your utility bills, you're listing your internet plan, you're listing your monthly amount that you have going to your gym membership, which I believe they're all on hold right now, but in case they're not, these are where you list your expenses. From there, you will minus the two columns again, and you will again also have a positive or negative number. This will allow you to have an idea of what you have coming in versus what you have coming out, and if you are short per month or if there is extra. If there is extra, that's a bonus. You can reallocate that to some other areas, perhaps that project you want to do, or perhaps reallocating it to some debt that you need to pay down. These are great tools to use as an option for making sure you have a better understanding of your financial picture. Hopefully we can go through some simple steps to recap how we've gone through the last couple of slides. What is important for you to do at this point is figure out what your monthly income is looking like right now. Figure out where you're spending your money, calculate the difference between the two, and set yourself an achievable goal during this time. Perhaps your achievable goal is, maybe I just want to have a better understanding and contact my utility providers to see what options they have. Make a plan to achieve that goal and make sure you're keeping track of your income and spending. There's multiple budget tools out there. Some people like to write it down on paper. Some people like to use apps. Some people like to use spreadsheets. Whatever is going to be the most beneficial tool for you, it's important for you to have that understanding and know where your financial picture is. You can see it clearly and you can make adjustments as you need to. So we've discussed a lot about goals. So what are some goals that we can help you set and prioritize? I've provided a list here that you can work through and see some options that might attain to you. So is there a debt reduction plan that you need to be putting in place? Is there something that, you thought you would have under control, but perhaps it's really not where you would like it to be, and you need to have a plan in place to help reduce the amount you're paying? Have you started an emergency savings fund? Just because we are in an emergency state doesn't mean that it's not possible to kind of create that savings plan as you need right now. It'll be good because we don't know what the future holds for us at this point or what our society will continue to look like. So it's important to know and understand you have some sort of fallback plan within your bank accounts that you can pull money from. Were you planning to make a home purchase and maybe that got a little bit derailed? Maybe you need to readjust your savings plans now to reflect what our current situation is and readjust the goals on when you would like to purchase that home. Are you retiring? Did you have a retirement plan in place and now that has been readjusted, or perhaps you are still moving forward with it? Have you spoken to somebody within your company as well as within the financial industry to help guide you through that process? And what are some things that you need to put in place? Is there a way you can improve your cash flow? As I mentioned previously, I don't know why, but for some reason we find ourselves, myself and my husband, with a little bit extra cash flow based on our reduced spending that we completed on a daily basis. So how have we made a plan to reallocate that extra money that we have been saving per month? Is there a way you can organize and streamline your accounts? Perhaps you are paying too much in an account fee that you can readjust at this point. Now is the time. We have the time and resources available to us to go through our financial picture and make the adjustments as we need. Do you have a child going into education? Have you started and by education I mean post-secondary, in the next couple of months? Have you made a plan to help support that? Is there maybe a 5-year plan or 10-year plan that you can readjust for your child's education funds? Is there any major purchases that you were looking to do? We were looking to finish our deck this year, and we were able to kind of start and create a plan to make that happen. Go through what your projects are, major purchases were prior to the pandemic happening, and see if there's an opportunity to still complete these projects, or perhaps make a new plan to readjust how you can complete these projects when we go back to a normal functioning society. Did you have some travel plans? Perhaps they've been canceled, perhaps you've been refunded, perhaps you have postponed these trips. Is there opportunities to reallocate those funds or make a new plan? All important to adjust and prioritize these newfound situations we find ourselves in. And as always, we want to make sure that we are protecting and preserving our estate. Have you gone through an estate plan? Have you gone through a will? Have you gone through options that you may find yourself thinking about more now that we are presented with a global pandemic? I know myself, we hadn't completed a will, so that was something that was very important to me to make sure that we completed while we were going through this, to make sure that we are protected and our estate is protected and our kids are protected. So all things that are important to your financial picture, and all important for you to reevaluate and make sure that you are still sticking to these plans. So now we need to talk about assessing where exactly you are today. So don't feel overwhelmed. I know I gave you a kind of extensive list there, but these are all just options and things to start thinking about so that you have a little bit of a clearer picture. So ask yourself these questions. Have you started a plan to reach these goals? Have you started a plan to reach any of your financial goals? And what do you feel are your biggest financial challenges? Write these down so you have an idea of where your obstacles are, and seek out advice from your local financial institutions, or obviously at Tandia, we'd love to hear from you on how we can help you overcome these obstacles. This is our job. We are here to help support our community, and we want to make sure that we are putting our community at the best possible financial picture that they can be. We understand that there has been loss of income, there has been reduced hours, there has been financial hardship that have created some unnecessary stress, but we are here to help you navigate through those programs and through those challenges to give you the best foot forward coming out of this pandemic. The way our government has implemented multiple support programs to help us through this challenging time. So I thought I would put together a list for you on some resources the government has put together to help support the Canadian economy and the Canadian community. Number one, your taxes. The Canada Revenue Agency has deferred the filing and payment dates for the 2019 income taxes of individuals. This helps to provide flexibility to Canadians who may be experiencing some hardships during the COVID-19. So if you want further information, there's more information on the CRA website that provides detailed lists of how and what the program looks like. The taxes have been deferred to filing till June, and then payment dates have also been deferred. So this helps to relieve any stress if you had income tax payments that you had to make, or perhaps you can't get in contact with your accountant. This also could provide some extra funds for you if you are expecting a refund back. So know that that is an option for you if you are feeling a burden from that. We've also implemented the new Canada Emergency Response Benefit, which will provide a taxable amount of $2,000 a month for up to 4 months for those facing unemployment due to COVID. This benefit is accessible through a secure web portal, and the fastest way to receive this benefit is to create yourself a CRA account website and sign up for direct deposit. Many employees are unemployed due to the shortage of work because of closed or decreased operations. If that is the case, you would qualify for the employment insurance benefit. Perhaps it's not necessarily you that is off, but maybe you have a spouse that has been, or perhaps you are sick and you have had to self-quarantine and you've been directed to self-isolate. You can also apply for the EI sickness benefits. The government has waived the 1-week waiting period, and you won't have to provide a medical certificate to access these benefits. Next, we bring you to the family benefits. The Canada Child Benefit has increased to an extra $300 per child. This benefit will be delivered as part of a scheduled payment in May, and those who already received the benefit do not need to reapply. So if you have multiple children in your home, there is this extra benefit that is coming in May, which will provide some relief with perhaps maybe some extra costs you have experienced by this quarantine. Lastly, your student loan. So effective March 30th, 2020, all student loan borrowers will automatically have their repayments suspended till September 30th, 2020. During this time, you won't have to make any payments and the interest will not accrue. You do need to apply for the pause on the repayment, which you can see on the CRA website. We have linked all of these resources that you can access within the email that was sent to you. You are able to go through these, digest the information, and then please come and ask us if you have any questions regarding these programs that have been implemented and how your financial institution can help. So now we have gone through all the things you can put in place to have extra income, as well as looking at your financial picture. And now you find yourself that you are in a troublesome spot. So what can you do if you are having trouble? Number one, like we discussed, create yourself a budget. Create a plan that you can stick to. Create a plan that will help alleviate some of the stress. Understand what your cash flow and monthly commitments are, so you have a clear idea of what exactly needs to be paid in the month. Reduce and eliminate any non-essential. So that goes back to your needs and your wants. If there's something that maybe perhaps you would like, or perhaps you bought on a regular basis, that is not necessarily an essential need, maybe at this point it's time to reduce and make that sacrifice. Please, we really encourage you to reach out to your financial institution for assistance. We are here to help. We are here to provide you relief. We are here to navigate you through this situation. You can also contact, as I mentioned, your credit card companies and ask for an interest rate reduction. This will help alleviate some potential payment relief, as well as give you some extra cash flow during these months where you're not maybe receiving full income. Again, seek out the government initiatives that have been put in place. There is federal government initiatives, and there's also provincial government initiatives that have been put in place. And we encourage you to seek out both resources as an option for additional income you may be eligible for. Now we're going to take a little bit of time and focus on your mortgage. So know your options. Again, we really urge you to seek out your financial institution and understand what options are available to you. If you are struggling to make your mortgage payments because of income interruption due to COVID, you may be eligible for assistance from your financial institution. What that might look like is perhaps there is a mortgage payment plan deferral for you. You have the option to refinance, and perhaps there is a payment alteration you are able to make with your financial institution. It's important to know these options because they could provide substantial relief for you during this unsure and uncertain times. So what exactly is a mortgage deferral and how does it work? This option allows you to skip payments for a defined period of time. Interest will continue to be charged on the balance of the mortgage, and it will be added to the balance at a later time. When the deferral period ends, your deferred payments and interest will be added to your monthly payments. This could be either when your payments resume at the end of your deferral period or upon renewal at the end of your mortgage term. If you have emergency savings, you may want to consider using them before considering a mortgage deferral. So what exactly that means is you have the option to defer your payments for up to 6 months. Some financial institutions are allowing 6 months right up front. Some are offering 3 months at a time and then reevaluating. You have the option to either continue to make the interest-only payments, perhaps adding the remaining months to the end of your mortgage term, or making increased payments when we resume back normal payment schedule. So you need to figure out what the best option would be for you at this current time. Did you need the reprieve right now and are able to manage these payments going forward? Having an understanding of what your payment will increase to, and having an understanding of how long you're maybe prolonging your term. All questions that you should be asking your financial institution to have a better understanding of how and what your mortgage picture looks like. So what could be a benefit of this mortgage deferral is if you are struggling to make your payments, this will, by allowing you to skip your mortgage payment for a specified amount of time, provides you with the increased cash flow. So if you are struggling because you've had a loss of income within your household, this may be a good option for you because you won't have to make that extra payment in a month and allow you to have that extra cash flow for essential needs that you may be requiring. So how do I repay my deferral? Details of the repayment will vary according to your specific lender and situation, which is why, again, I advise you to seek out the information so you have a clear understanding before you make any decisions. The interest on your mortgage that hasn't been paid during the deferral period continues to be added to the outstanding principal of your mortgage. And when your payments restart, your mortgage payment might be increased to reflect the new balance in accordance with your original payment schedule. We've talked about how to increase your cash flow, how to have an understanding of your financial picture, knowing the options that are available through the government and how we can help support that. But it is also important that we talk about how to avoid any further debt, how we can possibly make sure that we avoid borrowing any additional money is understanding the cost of different credit products before you make a decision and borrow only what you need. You may be faced with a predicament that you have to borrow more money, but make sure you have an understanding of, is this the best option for you at this point? Certain credit products can be more expensive than others due to their high interest rates and fees. If you are in a position where you are requiring further debt, a home equity line of credit could be a good option. It is usually a lower rate than perhaps a credit card and could be a good replacement for emergency savings under circumstances. At the end of the day, it really is important to compare all borrowing options and their fees, interest rates, and repayment terms before choosing a credit product. You want to put yourself in the best position possible versus maybe just impulse applying for a credit card because you want to make a major purchase and now stuck with a higher interest rate and some debt that you could have maybe avoided. So it's important to, again, recap and reevaluate what the best situation will be going forward. Ways that you can do this, we talked about it, your net worth statement, your cash flow, creating a budget, and know that there are multiple resources online for you to use. So in this slide, we talk about financial tools and resources, budget calculators that are out there. All your financial institutions will have them on their website. There are multiple great apps you can use. And as I mentioned, we have listed all the resources that we discussed in our notes in the email that you were sent so that you are able to go and research a little bit more, have a better understanding, and maybe put together some questions for us that we can help answer for you. We are here to help provide some clarity, some support. We realize everyone's situation is different and looks different, and realize that things may have adjusted or need to be adjusted as we move through these months and uncertain times, but know that we are here to support you and we are here to help answer any questions or provide any clarity that you may need. So please feel free to reach out to us at workshops@tandia.com and we will be able to answer those questions and maybe direct you to the right places that you need. We are so thankful that you took the time today to listen through our webinar. We hope we provided some valuable information, and we would love to hear from you on future topics that you maybe are interested in that we could put together and create a little bit more of a series for you. Thanks again, and we wish you all the best, staying healthy and staying sane during this unprecedented time. Thanks again.